Jake, before we get started, I was wondering if you wanted to give kind of an overview of the webinar and the format that we'll be using tonight, as well as the chat function.
Sure, I would be happy to. First, thank you everybody for attending. I am so excited to see you. This is our junior kindergarten, transitional kindergarten information night that we're doing. This is a webinar format, so that means that we cannot see you or hear you. So if you've got kids running in the background, if you've got chaos going on, we're not going to know it. So don't feel worried about that. You will see our panelists, and Mrs. Ellis will introduce them in a few minutes. We will have time for questions and answers at the end. There's a lot of information that we are giving you. This is being recorded. I will have the recording up on our website by Monday. We have the kindergarten presentation night on Thursday, so I will have both of them up on the website by Monday at some point, so you can come back to it. You don't need to feel like you have to take notes. There is a function on here called Q&A, which should be showing up somewhere at the bottom of your screens. That lets you type questions into an open box that I can see. Some questions I'll be able to answer right then and there, and I'll type them back to you. Some of them I'm going to hold on until the end of the program, so that way everybody can hear the answers. So if you don't see me answering right away, that does not mean I'm ignoring you. It might mean that I'm saving the question. Please do not raise hands. Raising hands means that we would be letting you talk, and that's not going to happen in this format. We're going to be answering the questions live towards the end. So thank you again for joining us, and we're really excited to have you.
Thank you, Jake. Well, as Jake said, I'd like to welcome you all to our Transitional Kindergarten Parent Night. We're so glad that you've joined us this evening to learn more about our junior and transitional kindergarten program. And if you are attending your first ever parent night with us, we are excited to welcome you to the Simi Valley Unified family. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to introduce our very special guests and panelists joining us tonight. We have Dr. Hani Youssef, the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. We have Lori Neiman, the Principal of Township Elementary. We have Erin Mahoney, the Principal of Parkview Elementary. We have Lori Carricker, the Coordinator of Early Childhood Education. And of course, you've already met Jake Finch. She's our Public Relations Officer for the district. We'd also like to welcome some of our TK teachers. We have Jessica Beck from Sycamore Elementary, Nicholas Gerard from Parkview Elementary, Sandra Aitken from Mountain View, Jennifer Brodowski from Catherine Elementary, Samantha Latham from Wood Ranch Elementary, Marsha Ernest from Burlwood Elementary, Kellyanne McKibben from Madera Elementary, Amber James from Knowles Elementary, Katie Geiger from Crestview Elementary, Annie Molina from Santa Susana Elementary, Maria Fucci from Township Elementary, and additional thanks to our interpreters, Ms. Camacho and Ms. Carrion. So a big welcome to everybody, and thank you to our panelists for joining us this evening. Our agenda this evening will highlight general information about the JKTK program, as well as the specifics regarding age eligibility and the enrollment process. Don't forget that throughout the presentation, you can ask questions using the Q&A feature that Ms. Finch described earlier. Our panelists will be monitoring the chat and answering questions as we proceed throughout the presentation. We also have included time at the end for questions. For those of you new to Simi Valley Unified, we wanted to provide you with some general information regarding our school district. We are the third largest school district in Ventura County, and we are the largest employer in Simi Valley. We serve a diverse population of students, providing a wide variety of programs and instruction to meet their needs. Just take a moment to look at that. Very proud of our diversity in our school district, and the fact that we're able to provide a wide variety of programming at all of our schools, both preschool to elementary to middle school to high school and adult education. New to the information provided in this parent night is the state of California through AB 130 is currently expanding the TK program to be a more comprehensive universal transitional kindergarten program with full implementation in 2025 and the school year 2025 and 2026. As the slide highlights, the goal of the expanded program is to ultimately provide a full year of instructional programming to all four-year-olds by the year 2025. The program changes for next year include extending the eligibility window by 2 months. Students turning 5 between September 2nd, 2022 and February 2nd, 2023 will now be able to enroll in the TK program. Previously, the eligibility window was September 2nd to December 2nd. This currently does not impact the students eligible for junior kindergarten that we will discuss later in the presentation. The Universal TK program also will reduce class size ratios through the addition of support staff. Our current class sizes in TK are 24 students. Information regarding staffing will be forthcoming as the state and school district continue to develop the program. So this is just an overview of this new California Universal Transitional Kindergarten program and kind of the rollout process over the next 4 years. The Kindergarten Readiness Act of 2010 is what actually created the Transitional Kindergarten program. This occurred when the kindergarten eligibility window was moved from the December cutoff date to the current September 1st deadline. Eligible students who enroll in SVUSD's Transitional Kindergarten program fall into 2 eligibility categories: junior kindergartners and transitional kindergartners. Before I go into further detail about these eligibility categories, I want to emphasize that both of these groups, junior kindergarten and transitional kindergarten, are in the same TK program together in the same classrooms. There isn't a class of JK students and a separate class of TK students. They exist in the same classroom, receiving the same instructional program. Junior kindergarten students are actually age eligible for kindergarten, turning 5 between July 1st and September 1st. If families feel that these younger kindergartners are not quite ready for the kindergarten program, they are able to enroll in the junior kindergarten, transitional kindergarten program. JK and TK students are enrolled in the transitional kindergarten program in the same classes, and again, assigned to the same teacher, receiving the same curriculum and content. The table on this slide highlights the eligibility window for JK and TK as compared to kindergarten eligibility. So you can see the window of the TK eligible students from September through February. Junior kindergartners, again, are actually age eligible to enroll in kindergarten, but their families decide that if they need an extra year, then they can also enroll in the transitional kindergarten program. We'll go over this a little bit more as we proceed through the presentation, but this is just to kind of highlight that we do have 2 sets of students with different age eligibility, but they participate in the same transitional kindergarten program. As you will hear in greater detail later in the presentation, the transitional kindergarten instructional program is different than the kindergarten program. The TK program provides students with foundational learning upon which prepares the students for kindergarten and is considered the first year of a 2-year kindergarten experience. The TK program is not offered through school of choice. Students enroll at the district office and are placed at schools offering the TK program. Currently, we have 11 sites with TK programs. We do take into consideration neighborhood school location and sibling enrollment when placing students. Our TK students do currently attend school on the same bell schedule as elementary students in grades K-6, making it a full day program. Some additional details about our JKTK program. We do have fully credentialed teachers with an emphasis on early childhood education. They have additional units to prepare them to teach our youngest of learners. Our current class size ratio is 24:1. Like I just mentioned, it is a full day program following the same bell schedule as the students at kindergarten through 6th grade students at the school site. They do have 2 recesses, a morning and an afternoon recess. They have a lunch program. with access to food services at all sites. Lots of access to outdoor play and physical education instruction. We do have a PE program now that we support all of our school sites. The daily schedule is developmentally appropriate, providing breaks, movement, focused learning sessions to provide a balanced approach to a full day of school for our youngest students. Students do not take naps during the instructional day. So when we look at our transitional kindergarten focus and philosophy for our JKTK students, so this slide is going to focus on our students. We want to help our students feel comfortable in a school setting. For some of them, this is their first formal school setting. We want to help our students feel confident in a variety of learning situations and environments. If this is their first, especially if this is their first exposure to public school, we want them to understand the learning environment, how to interact and move about and interact with their peers. We want to help students learn how to become learners in a room with others. Of course, we want to help our students develop cognitive, social, emotional, and physical skills as they strive to reach their potential. We always want our students to help our students become problem solvers. And of course, for all of our students, but really introducing it in transitional kindergarten, we want to help our students love learning and school. So the focus and philosophy for our JKTK parents and guardians, we want to support our parents and guardians to help gain an understanding of the age-appropriate milestones and expectations for their children. And as we partner with our parents and guardians, we want to help our parents and guardians learn ways to become active partners in their child's education in the Simi Valley Unified School District. For a lot of you, this is the first time you're interacting with our school district. And we do want to emphasize that we are your partners in helping educate your most precious commodity, which are your children. We want you to help you become familiar with the resources and programs available at our schools across the district. And of course, within this, we're developing a community of family. We want to develop a lifelong community of peers to support the continued development and enrichment of their children and their families. We really want to support the development of community as we pull our resources together and support one another. So we get a lot of questions regarding what is the difference between JKTK and kindergarten. This slide highlights the differences. So as you can see, the junior transitional kindergarten program is what we consider the first of a 2-year kindergarten program. And of course, traditional kindergarten would be that second year. In JKTK, when we look at, we're focusing on California preschool learning foundations. So those are like their standards, which are different from the kindergarten standards, which are the California content standards for kindergarten. So their standards and expectations and the foundations of learning, they are different. So we get a lot of questions regarding, is JKTK just like, are they going to repeat all that content when they go to kindergarten? No, the answer is no. The JKTK program is really, the foundation of it is through the California preschool learning foundations. And then when they go to kindergarten, the focus is on the California content standards for kindergarten. Our JKTK program is currently housed on 11 campuses. Our traditional kindergarten program is offered at all 18 campuses. JKTK enrollment process is completely at the district office, and it is not part of the school of choice process. Our kindergarten program is completed at the school, if it's your neighborhood school, or online through the school of choice process. And again, I'm just going to emphasize this because this is a common question that we get. Junior kindergarten students and transitional kindergarten students, based on their age eligibility, are in the same class. And so I just really want to emphasize that. So that was the difference between JKTK and kindergarten. So what is the same? Full day classes. So they're going, their bell schedule is the same. Class size average 24:1. They both, kindergarten and JKTK, have 2 recesses and a lunch. Both are provided with high quality, developmentally appropriate instruction. Of course, we have our nurturing and supportive teachers and staff, some of which are on the webinar tonight. We have flexible learning spaces. Jake Finch will talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. Both sets of students will receive fall progress reports and will meet with parents in October. And both JKTK students and kindergarten students do receive semester report cards one in January and then one again in June. We will now move into information regarding the enrollment process. As a reminder, this presentation and slide deck will be posted on our website for you to reference as you prepare to enroll your child in the TK program. And of course, the Office of Elementary Education is always available to answer your questions. Some important reminders that are specific to TK enrollment. Enrollment packets must be submitted to the district office, not a school site. TK is not a part of our school of choice process. It is not housed on all campuses. There are considerations when placing students, but due to class size capacity, there are no guarantees. Again, the enrollment process really is housed through the district office. And I'm going to hand it over here one more slide. So this is the current distribution of our 11 TK sites across the district. We're very purposeful in the planning of the TK placement on campuses. We're looking at facilities availability as well as making sure that we have put it across the district so for ease of access for our parents, regardless of where they live. Now I'd like to hand it off to the Assistant of Elementary Education, Ms. Ana Maria Portillo.
Hi, good afternoon. I would like to just go over really quick about the enrollment process. One of the things is that you need to go into the website and download the enrollment. If you don't have access to a printer, please let us know and you can come and get one from the district office. Please do not go to the school sites to get the enrollment form. We will be handing the packets, but we would like for you to go to the website and then just download it, and then you can print it from there. The other thing is that the required documents that we ask you to please bring once you have the packet and fill it out is we need a copy of the birth certificate. We need the immunization records. You can get that from either that care program, or you can go to your from the doctor's office or any clinic, and they can give you a printout of the records. You also need a copy of the place where you live. It's a residency. You can get a utility bill. Just please make sure not to bring a telephone bill or anything else that is not a utility. You can use a lease agreement, a mortgage deed. If you use a lease agreement or mortgage deed, we don't need the entire thing. Or if you're even using like escrow papers, we only need like the first sheet where it shows the address and your names. It's happened in the past that I've received an entire documentation of escrow, and we don't need that. You can utilize water, gas, or electricity bill as well. Again, just going back to this one is please bring your complete packets with the required documentation to the district office. The school sites will not receive, they will not accept your packets. You need to bring them to us. And again, just like Mrs. Ellis mentioned earlier, it is not by school of choice. So we will make our best to try to accommodate near the area where you live, or depending on other factors and availability specifically. Please provide clear copies of all these documents. Let us know if you're having trouble making copies or anything. Let's see. We're gonna have a box actually at the lobby of the district office. So you can just bring everything together with the name and you can put it there. And if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to please call us or send me an email, and we'll do our best to try to contact you as soon as possible. And again, the JKTK program is a voluntary program. You don't have to, people don't have to enroll, but once you enroll, you are responsible for attending. So if you are thinking about enrolling and not attending, that's not a good thing. We would love for your kids to come to the school and start learning and then get prepared for the kindergarten program. And then let's see, the next slide is about immunizations. So the immunizations that are required for the JKTK program as the follow is the diphtheria, tetanus, the Tdap or TD. It's 5 doses or 4 doses is okay if they're giving after their 4th birthday. 3 doses are okay only if they were giving after their 7th birthday. But so in this case, this doesn't apply to you guys. Let me see. The polio is a requirement, and it has to have 4 doses after the 4th birthday. Hepatitis, 3 doses after is hepatitis B, I'm sorry, is 3 doses. Measles, mumps, and rubella, 2 doses. 4 have to be given after the 1st birthday. Sometimes we have encountered that parents have their kids taking those, the measles, mumps, and rubella, which is called MMR, before their 1st birthday, and then another one is going to be required. In the varicella or chickenpox, it will require 2 doses. These immunizations are required and apply for new admissions and transfer for all grades, including JK and TK. You can check with the doctor and see and make sure that your immunizations are completed by the time that you bring all the paperwork in the packet all together. We will not be accepting packets that are incompleted. We want to make sure that everything is correct and that you're providing all the paperwork together. We will not be getting only the enrollment, and then if you're missing immunizations, we will urge you to try to get everything as soon as possible to us, but in a completed form. Let's see.
Anything else, Santa Maria?
Nope, I think that's all. And
All right.
let us know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Jake Finch to discuss information regarding safety and other district-based information.
Thank you. So of course, the big thing I would imagine on many of our parents' minds right now is COVID protocols and how they affect us. If you do not have a current child with us, this is all going to be new for you. What I'm going to say to start with is that the bottom line is we really are not sure what's going to happen next school year. Things have been improving since the start of all this, slowly for some people, but things have been getting better in terms of protocols. And, things seem to be loosening up a little bit. In a nutshell, right now, what is required is every person, regardless of vaccination status, needs to be wearing a mask indoors. Outdoors is optional. We do have some social distancing measures in place, but they're not the strict ones that say that you have to be exactly 6 feet apart. Those were eliminated earlier this year, this school year I'm speaking of. But we do try to keep the kids in pods during lunch, so that way we can kind of track them. And we do try to keep some common sense spacing happening, because we certainly don't want our children to be getting sick. In terms of protocols for active COVID cases, I'm going to tell you that in the last week, these have changed 5-6 times for us. We're in one of those periods where we're constantly updating our parents about what the current mandates are and the guidelines. We follow guidelines from the County of Ventura. The Ventura County Public Health Department is who ultimately guides us. They receive their direction from the state, but they can impose more stringent guidelines if they feel that the situation in our county warrants it. So ultimately, we're pretty much following the county. So we update our parents as soon as we have changes coming in front of us. And, before the school year starts, we'll certainly be giving everybody who's coming in a sense of what to expect. But the information I'm giving you right now is for right now. And I do expect that it'll shift somewhat by the time we get to August. So I will say also that we are practicing all the cleaning requirements we need to do. We change our air filters regularly. Our custodians work hard to make sure surfaces are cleaned down. The kids are provided with masks and with, if they need them, and with hand sanitizers. Our teachers are very good about encouraging the little ones to keep the masks on. And quite honestly, we really have not had an issue with the little ones wearing the masks. They are used to it. And they have been, a lot of them don't even remember to take them off when they're outside, even though they're able to. So I can answer more questions about that later on, but that should give you a general sense of what's going on. Okay, and then I've already had a question about after school care. So we have 3 organizations that we work with in Simi Valley, Rancho Simi Parks and Rec, which is our park department, our district, the YMCA, and the Boys and Girls Club of Moore Park in Simi Valley. Each school has one of these organizations handling their before and after school programs. These are independent programs. They just simply house themselves on our campuses, but they are in charge of the programs. They're in charge of the enrollment for them. They're in charge of the cost for them. We simply just provide them the space. So there is a slide on the next one that will show you which school has which group there. And as you get a little bit closer to the end of this school year, they all start advertising for enrollment into their spaces. And it doesn't matter if you're JK, kinder, 5th grade, whatever, they take all the grades in their facilities. So you would need to reach out directly to them about any of the needs you have for before and after school care. But I believe, if I remember right, all of them have both before and after school programs there. And they would be on site in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases they're on site. If they're off site, they generally are transporting the kids. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jake. Now we're going to, now for the fun stuff, which I know many of you have been waiting to hear about the TK experience. And I am going to turn this over to our coordinator of early childhood education, Ms. Lori Carricker.
Hi, okay, so we are going to talk about the curriculum. So we base our TK-JK program on the Preschool Learning Foundations, and it's a set of books that have clear guidelines on what to be teaching children at this age. And it is very different from the kindergarten program, but it is a bridge to the kindergarten program. So the instruction is developmentally appropriate for 4- and 5-year-olds. And they are just giving them skills that they can work on. For some children, they've never been to school. And for some children, they've been to preschool for many years. So the teachers are very skilled in providing what each child needs. There's an emphasis on providing the essential learning to support students, as I said, to bridge them to kindergarten and then from preschool. The curriculum grows from the standards from the Preschool Learning Foundations into what they'll need for the kindergarten standards. And they have made them very different. So as Mrs. Ellis said, they won't be going to kindergarten and say, I'm bored, because we've already done all this. And it is the first year of a 2-year program. So they'll be in JKTK, and then they will move on to a kindergarten class. So the curriculum that is provided in each TK, under the language and literacy section, we have a variety of curriculum that the teachers use. One of them is called Zoophonics, and that's a program that teaches the children the sounds of the letters and how the letter name and the sound go together. They use music, they use movement. There's a song they sing every day. There's an animal that goes with each one. Each letter of the alphabet is for an animal, and you will learn all about it because your child will come home and sing that song for you every day, and you'll question how this sounds. We also have a new program that we're using called Heggerty Phonemic Awareness. And this is an oral program. There's no books that go with it. The children are on the rug and the teacher works every day on phonemic awareness, which is the smallest unit of sound. So as an example, they might say the word hat, and then they would say, what's hat without the H? And then the children all together would say at. So it's an exciting program that we are thrilled to be starting in the fall. There's a couple teachers that are very familiar with it and already use it. We also use Handwriting Without Tears, which is a program that teaches children how to form their letters in a very developmentally appropriate way. They use wooden pieces, they make Map Man, and you'll know all about that too, because your children will be singing that all the time. We have our main curriculum program, which is the McGraw-Hill program. And that program has a lot of information on a lot of books to use for the social emotional aspect of the TK program. It also has books that introduce good literature to the children. And there's little decodable books that the children can read and then take home with them and read it at home with you. So for social studies, we have the Studies Weekly, which is like a little magazine that goes home, a little newsletter, and they focus on something that's appropriate for TK to be learning and JK for in their social studies unit. The science tends to be project-based. The kids need hands-on experiences with everything, but especially with science. Visual and performing arts, they do art all the time. They may learn songs or little plays for performing arts. We do have a PE program, and that's at every school, and the TKJK participates in that. Health is pretty much a part of their lives right now. Washing your hands and not eating each other's food, and so that's ingrained with them right now. And then the social emotional development, every teacher, it's a huge focus for the beginning of the year, especially because these are little ones and we need to teach them how to get along, as Mrs. Ellis did on another slide, how to be a friend, how to be polite, how to sit on the rug. It's huge. So that would be that one. Okay, to prepare for the first days of school, we are suggesting that you try some of these skills. You could now, but definitely over the summer. I think many of us in a preschool, they get a lot of help with all of this. In JKTK, it would be wonderful if they could do these things on their own. So you want to put them into clothing that they can manage themselves. So you would want to practice with buttons and using zippers. We would love if they tied their shoes, but of course we help with that. The children are going to the bathroom independently. So they need clothes that they can, like pants that can be pulled down and that they can pull up. And it's something they can practice at home to be independent with that. Please send extra clothes. They do a lot of painting. Kids have accidents. So in the bottom of their backpack or in their cubby, they need a set of clothes that are labeled with their name. And that always helps. And then to practice using crayons, scissors, glue, even opening glue is new for some of our kids. Opening their water bottles. Some children don't know how to open their backpacks and they don't know how to open their food containers. So try to find food containers. Sometimes Ziploc bags are hard for them, or opening up a juice box. So all of this can be practiced over the summer. You also might want to practice how long it takes for them to eat lunch. because there is a time limit of how long that they can eat before they are sent out to play. And I know for a lot of families, practicing a 20-minute time to eat, you'd be surprised how long it takes some of them to eat at home. And if you have a timer that goes off after 20 minutes, you can see how much food is left that they never get to. So those are all great ways to prepare for the first days of school.
Thank you, Ms. Carricker.
You're welcome.
As we approach the conclusion of our presentation, I want to highlight a few important details regarding the enrollment process. Enrollment packets are available online or at the district office, as Ms. Portillo told us. You will be notified of placement in the spring of 2022. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jake Finch as we transition to our questions.
All right. I've been answering a lot on the side. When are the packets due? So maybe Anna Maria or Julie, Mrs. Ellis can speak to the due date for the packets, the enrollment packet for applications.
Anna Maria, do you want to take that one or do you want me to take it?
I believe that the due date is February 28th for the packets.
Well, so what, yes, I mean, we don't, it's not on the school of choice timeline, but what we do is if we start placing students in the spring of 2022, it's generally in April, we will start placing students. And then we will continue placing students until we're at capacity. So again, we're going to encourage you to submit completed enrollment packets as soon as possible, knowing that probably in mid-April, we will start taking those enrollment packets and actually assigning them to school sites.
I have a question for Mrs. Neiman. Can you please talk a little bit about the facilities? Somebody asked about the bathrooms, but I also know the playgrounds are very specific to kindergarten.
Yeah, so it really depends on the layout of each campus. I can give you an example at Township. We have 2 kindergarten classrooms that have the bathrooms inside the classroom. The other kindergarten classrooms are on the campus close to the kindergarten yard. The bathroom is very close, almost as far as having to walk through a classroom to get to the bathroom. So it really, again, depends on the layout of the campus, but students, especially at the beginning of the year, they go in pairs to use the restroom if it's not inside the classroom directly. And the teachers also take them several times a day over to the bathroom, have them line up, and they'll go in and use it. So we've never had a problem on the campuses with anything happening to students going to use the bathroom if it's not directly in the classroom. And then at recess time, when they play on the kindergarten yard, they do have access to those restrooms that are right there in the kindergarten yard.
I have a question that I think is best addressed by our teachers. Mrs. Beck already went ahead and answered, but I want to bring it back up. The question was, if a child is very advanced and excels in TK, can they go straight to first grade? Ms. Beck had brought up that the district implemented universal access to learning and provides individualized support for our children. So I'm wondering if you can explain that a little bit better for the parents who may not have heard about this before.
Sure. Universal access to learning is a differentiated learning specified to your child's learning progress. Basically, every child learns differently and we assess them accordingly, and we group them, we differentiate them. So we support them individually. And if we see a child is progressing, we will implement the universal access to learning, and they will which work with the kindergarten teachers. So at Sycamore, we work with kindergarten teachers and we support the children that are progressing, as well as those which in TK, they're not expected to know everything. So we do support every individualized learning according to the child's progress.
I'd also like to point out that just remember that the TK-JK program is based on the preschool foundations. So they will not be introduced to all kindergarten standards. So for them to actually skip a year, they would be missing a lot of the standards that are introduced in kindergarten. Like Ms. Beck said, we will challenge your child as much as possible and provide differentiated instruction. But getting all those preschool foundational skills in place and making sure all those kindergarten standards are in place are really important before they go to first grade.
Thank you. This question might be better for our principals, but our teachers can certainly jump in as well. Somebody wanted to know if if the parent had the option of holding their child back. So there's no context. I don't know what age range they're in, but maybe in general, we can talk about that. Ms. Mahoney or Ms. Neiman?
I think without like some context around it, it would be hard to know. But there are team meetings that are happening all the time between the teachers, the parents, the principal, and different members within the school community to decide how we can best support students. And there's robust intervention programs all over. So we would obviously exhaust all of those options before talking about holding back a student, because we want to make sure that we're supporting them. But it's always, a conversation. I don't know, Lori, if you want to, Ms. Neiman, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, well, and you have to remember too that the JKTK, it's a 2-year program. So they're going to go into kindergarten when they're done with JK or TK. And so they're gonna have the year of learning the California content standards at that point. And if we notice, teachers are all very aware. If they notice that a student is struggling, Erin's right, they're going to come to the principal, they're going to meet with the whole team, and we're going to brainstorm ways to help the child. So really, we don't look at retention. That's an absolute last option, and not something that many are very fond of. So, we have to remember that there's a lot of things that we could do, interventions, before we get to that point.
For Mrs. Ellis or Ms. Portillo, somebody has asked about providing proof of their child's oral or vision checkup as part of the medical records. I answered it on here, but I thought maybe it would help for everybody.
I was actually typing on it. We are actually including that form in the packet as part of the packet. And like you said, it's not a requirement, but we do ask that if the parent has it, they can take it to the doctor, have it fill out. If they don't have it, they can just sign off of it and say that they don't have it, because we need records of it.
Okay. And that's for the oral assessment. So let's see. Somebody has asked, what if for the immunization record, I need just one more set of shots, but I'm waiting for the appointment to happen. Should I wait to turn in the packet until it is done, or can an updated immunization record be submitted at a later time? So again, I've answered that, but maybe we can answer it for everybody.
I actually saw your answer about that question, and I completely agree. They have enough time right now, since Mrs. Ellis mentioned that we have until, they should bring the packets as soon as possible, but they have time to get all the records done by, let's say, early March. There is like plenty of time for them to make an appointment and make sure that all their immunizations are done.
Yes, I just want to emphasize too, is that the enrollment packet will not be accepted if any portion is incomplete. You are only truly enrolled when you submit a complete enrollment packet.
Somebody has asked about laptops being provided for JKTK. Maybe some of our teachers can answer how we use tech in the classroom with the little ones. Ms. Latham, Mr. Gerard, Ms. Ernest, go ahead.
We do have Chromebooks in our classroom, and each child is provided with one. I personally try to limit as much time as possible on the Chromebook. I want them to be introduced to it, get familiar with it, and of course, know how to use it if for some reason they have to go to virtual learning for a little bit. But for the most part, it's really an introduction of how to use a Chromebook, some fun activities to do that have a lot to do with phonics and phonemic awareness.
We also have an interactive smart board that we use in the classroom for students that is very fun. We upload our videos on there. It's also a nice touch screen for the students. I sometimes have students help them with their writing, their letters and stuff using it. It's very fun for them, very engaging.
I will put this up for anybody, but probably our principals would be best at this. My daughter misses the cutoff date for standard kindergarten by only 26 days. She is very advanced already and is far above the other kids in her preschool with letters, numbers, spelling, etc. Is there an assessment test or other option for her to go straight into kindergarten? I know that needing to go to TK first is going to hold her back.
It's not really going to hold her back because they're going to give enrichment activities for a child who is more advanced in the class. So at no point would your child be held back or not given things to excel, to enrich. They'll definitely differentiate the instruction for all the different levels that they have in the classroom. And you have to remember and I believe it was a TK student, you said, Jake? Yeah. So it's better for them to feel confident. They're going to have that confidence that they know those letters and they know the sounds. And, it's good for kids to be able to go up to somebody else and say, well, let me help you. So you have to remember that developmentally, they're learning how to deal with other kids. And this is just a positive experience for them in that respect.
Thank you. Somebody has asked if we completely submit online, do we need to still bring any forms to the district office? I don't think we're doing online submissions, or did I miss that? Correct. So you have to pick up the hard copy for the enrollment packet. Mrs. Ellis, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying the enrollment packets, the paperwork is available online, but they turn everything in the hard copies into the district office. So they're actually just printing them out, filling them out, and then bringing them in.
Okay, somebody wanted to know if we do any coding instruction in the classroom. Can one of our teachers answer that, please?
Well, I think Ms. Ernest referred to it earlier. They do basic introductory computer skills. We do have coding programs in a variety of grade levels and supports. But I think that the coding that's happening in primarily the focus in JKTK and kindergarten is decoding, which is really helping the students learn how to read.
So I have a mom who wants to confirm that all vaccinations will need to be completed before we can turn in the enrollment packet.
Correct. The ones that Anna Maria went over, yes.
When will the letter be sent to what school our child will be able to attend so that we can determine the after-school program and reach out to them to register?
Confirmation of enrollment at specific school sites will happen sometime after mid-April.
Let's see. I think we pretty much have covered most of the questions. There are a couple of short ones that I'm going to answer. Let's see. Okay, here's one. If older siblings are out of school with TK, is there a place on the form to state where their older siblings are so they can hopefully be placed together?
So when we are processing the enrollment packets, we are looking at two pieces of information. One, we're looking and identifying their neighborhood or home school that's in their neighborhood, their proximity to the closest school to where they live. And the other piece is where the siblings are actually enrolled. And we do our best to have siblings at the same school. But we get to a point when we're at capacity in some of those programs where we cannot accommodate that. So once we hit 24, that TK program is closed. So that's why it's really beneficial for you to get your completed enrollment packets in as soon as possible to guarantee. But we always take that into consideration, where you live and if you have siblings at specific schools that might be participating in a school of choice if they're in kindergarten through 6th grade.
Mrs. Carricker, I'm going to address this one to you. This mom's daughter is currently at Justin and she has special needs and she's wondering if she would be going into kindergarten or staying in a special program. She's going to be 5 in April.
That would be determined at the IEP. She'll be having a transitional IEP. Sometime if she wants to call the office, we can actually tell her when the actual date is of the IEP. But if she is interested in, so she's going to kindergarten, not TK, correct? This is a kindergarten student?
She's saying kindergarten, she'll be 5 in April.
April. So it's for kindergarten. What she would be doing is if she wants to apply at a school of choice for kindergarten, she should apply at a school of choice. And then when we have her IEP, it will be determined as a team at the IEP whether the school of choice school is appropriate for her daughter or whether or not she would need to go to a special education program for kindergarten.
Okay, Joanne, I'm going to read your question out loud because I want to clarify specifically to what you're asking. The question is, I heard 2 different answers on the vaccination record. I cannot get an appointment for a few weeks given the madness going on right now. I am 1 shot shy in a few that would be given at her 4-year appointment. Can I submit now for placement to start and then submit an updated immunization record next month? So when you submit your enrollment packet, when it comes in is not going to give you priority. So you don't necessarily need to worry about the timing on that as long as we're getting it before we start doing the placements. Am I correct about that, Mrs. Ellis?
Yes, I mean, I still think it's important in looking at, because if, we're just we'll start to fill and we're looking at sibling and neighborhood schools. So, I would not wait. If you're able to, I completely understand the current conditions and getting into doctor's offices can be challenging at this time. But again, I think Anna Maria referred to a March, if you can try to get it done by March. Hopefully conditions will improve as far as having access to doctor's offices by then. So just as soon as possible and what's reasonable for you and your family.
I think we've got 3 more minutes. If anybody's got questions about what a day looks like that may not have been answered already. Children are provided with lunch like they would be during the kindergarten and regular school programs. All right.
Well, I will, Jake, if anything comes up, just let me know. But I do want to emphasize the amazing TK teacher team, some of which are present in our webinar tonight. The TK learning environment is a beautiful thing. I've visited them, the learning that happens in those classrooms, the skills and the abilities that these teachers get their students to exhibit as they're just transitioning to a whole different learning environment is an amazing thing to watch. And as a team themselves, the TK teacher team, they come together on their own time to plan and to provide and share lessons to make the most of those learning environments. So I do want to emphasize that. They'll never say that about themselves, but we have such an amazing TK team that I'm very grateful that they're here with us providing. And as we expand this program, I look forward to the mentoring that will happen between our experienced TK teachers and our future TK teachers. So I just want to give a shout out to our TK team and also to our principals for attending tonight.
For those who still have questions that they've just typed in, I will answer you that most of these questions have already been asked and answered during the presentation. So I don't want to repeat ourselves. So just be patient while I type each of them. And in the meantime, I have a lot of people asking about the website. JKTK is handled through the district office. So you need to access the enrollment information from the district website, which is Simi Valley USD for Unified School District.org. And there is a bunch of information on there. If you just look kindergarten up in the search bar, you're going to come up with our kindergarten programs and school of choice, and JKTK is under the kindergarten programs. It's pretty easy to search out. Somebody had asked about taking the packages to the school. No, do not take your packages to the school. JKTK is a district program and we administer it here at the district office. So it's different from kindergarten. So I need you to do everything through us. And I think that's it. It's 7 o'clock and
Well, we will wrap it up again. Any questions that, as you walk away from this presentation and you have conversations with your family, and you generate additional questions or just want verification on any of the material presented tonight, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office, to Ana Maria Portillo, to myself, Julie Ellis, with any questions or just, verification of what the expectations are, the enrollment process. We're here to support you and guide you through this process as you begin your journey here at Simi Valley Unified. And we thank you for spending an hour with us tonight, and we look forward to the time spent together in the future. So thank you. Thank you to our panelists for attending, and I hope everyone have a wonderful and safe evening. Thank you.
thank you.